Welcome, Motenta people. From a tough life to tough guy roles, his life was no less than a Hollywood suspense and thrill movie, as he was the one who proved the quote, "fate writes your future" wrong by becoming one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. He always said, "I view life as a lavish banquet," but sadly, a lot of folks seem to be stuck with a meager appetizer while the main course passes them by. Not only did he give these motivational quotes to others, but he also lived his whole life with an idea of live in the moment. So guys, be ready, as today we are about to reveal the man behind Tender Heart Guy's roles, Burt Lancaster. People thought Burt Lancaster was homosexual because of his body. Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Motenta's channel. He always said, "Laughter is the best medicine for the soul." And not only did he say this, but he truly displayed this in his movies that spanned a wide array of genres, from comedies to dramas, and was also known for his versatility as an actor. His tall frame and muscular physique instantly made him recognizable on screen. Not only his body, but his expressive face and actions were enough to drive anyone crazy for him. Moreover, when he smiled, his face lit up with a mischievous twinkle and a broad grin, while he could also project strength and determination with a square-jawed stare. His body language was also remarkable. He could convey a sense of playfulness with a slight tilt of his head, or a sense of seriousness with a slight raise of his chin. Well, not only this, but the iconic Hollywood star also impacted cinema, as he always said, "I always thought I had a lot of guts, and I still do." Throughout his career, Burt Lancaster was a multifaceted personality in Hollywood, appearing in a wide variety of genres, from musicals to war movies. He was known for his versatility, as well as for his charismatic and powerful performances. He often played tough guy roles, but could also be quite vulnerable and sensitive. His signature style was intense, and he often took on challenging roles that pushed him to the limit. Burt Lancaster was also a pioneering actor in his advocacy for civil rights and social justice. His influence on Hollywood goes beyond his acting career. He mentored many young actors and was a vocal supporter of diversity and inclusion in Hollywood. He also served as an ambassador for the film industry, promoting its importance in culture and society. But above all this, Lancaster was known for his passionate performances on screen and exuberant personality off-screen. He was an actor who could easily transition between light comedies and heavy dramas, and he was an actor whose presence commanded attention. On screen, he was an intense presence who could bring a sense of electricity to a scene. His performances were passionate, and he could create a sense of tension and excitement. Off-screen, however, he was known for his exuberant personality. He was a passionate and enthusiastic storyteller with a great sense of humor. Burt Lancaster was generous and interested in ensuring his co-stars and crew members were cared for. He was known for ensuring everyone around him was comfortable and had what they needed. He was also supportive and encouraging of other actors and was known for his generosity and kindness. Burt Lancaster was an actor who was passionate about his craft, and he was also passionate about life. He was a man who was interested in exploring the world and was passionate about trying new things. He was an adventurer who was always looking for new experiences. Well, not only this, but he was also an avid reader who was interested in learning new things. Burt Lancaster was a man who was always looking for ways to make the world a better place. He was a philanthropist who was passionate about giving back to the community and committed to ensuring everyone had the same opportunities and rights. However, he was still unsatisfied with all these achievements as he boosted his career by giving a series of hits to movies. His illustrious career included many memorable performances, often highlighting his athletic prowess and memorable characters. Lancaster's impressive range of characters and performances was incredibly diverse and often demonstrated the actor's tremendous range. He was known for playing strong-willed, determined characters, often with a hint of a dark side. One of Lancaster's most iconic roles was as the titular character in the 1952 classic High Noon. In this Western, written by Carl Foreman and directed by Fred Zinnemann, Lancaster plays a sheriff who is determined to take down a group of outlaws coming to town to take revenge on him. He often took on villainous roles. He was an impressive villain in The Killers, a corrupt politician in Executive Action, and a corrupt businessman in The Swimmer. Burt Lancaster was a true movie icon, and his impressive range of characters and performances were part of what made him so successful. Whether he was playing a hero or a villain, Lancaster could always bring his unique charm and style to the role, making him one of the most memorable actors of his time. Well, Burt, the master of acting, was born to be an actor, as he was the one who had always dreamt of working in Hollywood from childhood. So growing up in a small working-class neighborhood, Burt Lancaster was no stranger to adversity. Born in New York City on November 2, 1913, to a postal worker and a homemaker, his family was far from wealthy. Despite the odds, Lancaster was determined to make the best of his situation and rise above the poverty he experienced as a child. Burt attended DeWitt Clinton High School, where he excelled academically and athletically. He was a hard-working student and was well-liked by his peers and teachers. After graduating, he enrolled at New York University on an athletic scholarship, but his studies were cut short when his father passed away, leaving the family in financial hardship. Despite the setback, Lancaster was determined to make something of himself. He found work in various odd jobs, from selling ice cream to working as a busboy. During this time, he was also a member of the New York Athletic Club, where he continued to compete in boxing and other sports. Eventually, he found his way into show business, appearing in small theater productions and working as a stuntman. In the 1940s, Burt's career began to take off, and he was cast in a handful of Broadway plays and several minor film roles. He quickly gained recognition for his unique talent. His good looks and strong charisma set him apart from other actors of the time. Moreover, he was not only meant to be an actor, as he was also a passionate athlete who excelled in a variety of sports, including boxing, swimming, skiing, and tennis. His athleticism, natural charisma, and good looks made him one of the most sought-after leading men of the 1950s and 1960s. Burt Lancaster showed an early affinity for physical activities. His boxing talent was apparent, and an amateur boxing promoter eventually spotted him. He went on to fight in several amateur bouts and even had a few professional fights. Well, after a sky-reaching boxing career, he still chose to pursue acting over boxing. And although he had a long and varied career, Lancaster's rise to stardom began with his breakout role in the 1949 classic, The Heiress, the story of a plain and shy woman whose inheritance is challenged by a calculating and charismatic suitor. The Heiress perfectly showcases Lancaster's talents. He was the perfect foil for co-star Olivia de Havilland, and the two captured moviegoers' attention everywhere. In this film, Lancaster was able to show off his range, from the sophisticated and seductive to the more sympathetic and vulnerable. He also made several westerns, including the epic The Gunfighter and the gritty Vengeance Valley. Throughout his career, Lancaster continued challenging himself and taking on roles that pushed his boundaries. Well, one thing he could not deny is that no doubt his remarkable career began with his breakout role in The Heiress. It was a role that allowed him to showcase his range and acting ability and set the stage for him to become one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. But where there is fame, trouble finds its way too, as the iconic beach scene from the Oscar-winning film From Here to Eternity was seen as scandalous and controversial when it was first released. Burt Lancaster and Deborah Kerr's passionate and daring embrace sent shockwaves through Hollywood, as it was the first time a mainstream movie featured a censored romantic scene. The scene was censored due to the Motion Picture Production Code, a set of ethical guidelines in the film industry created in 1930. The code was designed to prevent the depiction of immoral behavior in films, and censors saw the beach scene as too intimate and suggestive. The Production Code Administration cut the original version of the scene, but director Fred Zinnemann fought to keep the scene in the film by making a few tweaks. He had to reduce the scene's length, lower the camera angles to blur out more intimate moments, and ensure that Deborah Kerr was always wearing something. After these changes, the scene was allowed to stay in the film, becoming one of the most iconic moments in movie history. Well, we can say that their chemistry made the scene look more perfect, and Burt's body was also the hidden reason behind its fame. as Burt Lancaster's physique was so impressive that it generated whispers of him being a homosexual. His body was as fit as any modern-day underwear model, but men simply didn't do this then. While there is no definitive proof of Lancaster's sexuality, he was known for his strength and athleticism. The rumors of Lancaster's sexuality were never confirmed, and he was never publicly associated with the LGBT community, although his impressive physique and love of sports certainly did lead to speculation. Even today, Lancaster is still a subject of intrigue and speculation, and while everyone was pointing out Burt's orientation issues, he proved to be an I-don't-care man, as he was busy attending some pretty wild parties. Yes, you heard it right. It's true. Lancaster was no stranger to the debauched scene of Hollywood in the 1940s and 50s. Lancaster was known for his wild spirit and love of life, so it's no surprise that he was often found at Hollywood's hottest and most outrageous parties. Whether it was a private gathering of friends or a wild night at a club, Lancaster could always be counted on to be the life of the party. His friends described him as a man with an insatiable appetite for pleasure and a desire to experience all that life had to offer. So if you hear the rumors of wild parties and evil in Hollywood, you can be sure that Burt Lancaster had something to do with it. We say that Burt's life was no less than a roller coaster of troubles, as after his private life and wild party issues were finally resolved, his life was once again loaded with rumors of being a communist. But was he, as some have speculated, a communist? Although no concrete evidence suggests that Burt Lancaster was a communist, the actor certainly had a history of activism and involvement with causes considered leftist-leaning. In the 1950s, he and his then-wife Norma Anderson founded the Hollywood Democratic Committee, which sought to promote the liberal and progressive causes, and his left-leaning attitudes often characterized his Hollywood career. In the 1960s, he and his wife also developed a close relationship with the Black Panther Party, and he was a strong advocate for civil rights. So while there is no conclusive proof that Burt Lancaster was indeed a communist, the evidence does suggest that he was sympathetic to leftist causes and was a strong advocate for progressive politics. Well, anyway, looking at Burt's life in front and behind the curtain was completely opposite, as Burt Lancaster was a man of few words when it came to his personal life. He was a man of action, preferring to let his deeds do the talking. He was an active humanitarian, dedicating his time and money to causes he believed in. Whether it was helping to improve the lives of Native Americans or providing medical services to disadvantaged communities, he spoke out against racism and inequality wherever he could. He was also strongly committed to the environment, supporting national parks, wildlife preservation, and clean water initiatives. His charitable work extended to helping veterans, the homeless, and those affected by natural disasters. Burt Lancaster was a man who put his money where his mouth was, giving generously to those in need and making a real difference in the world. He was a model of altruism, demonstrating that actions speak louder than words. Even though he didn't speak much about his private life, his actions spoke loudly and clearly. So early in his life, Lancaster married Norma Anderson and had a daughter, Susan. The couple divorced in 1942, and Lancaster enlisted in the Army Air Corps. After his return, he married June Ernst in 1946, and the couple had 3 children together. However, the marriage ended in divorce. Throughout his life, Lancaster had a number of romances and relationships with numerous actresses, including his co-star Deborah Kerr, Ava Gardner, and Claudia Cardinal. He was also engaged to Marjorie Wallace in 1976, but the relationship ended when she refused to give up her career to be his wife. Lancaster's last serious romantic relationship was with American actress and film director Sally Miles, who he met in 1977 and lived with until he died. Though the two never married, they were devoted to each other and were considered one of Hollywood's most devoted couples. In the last years of his life, Lancaster was also involved in a long-term relationship with a woman in Germany, whom he kept a secret from many of his friends and family, but failed to hide from the paparazzi. Well, yes, we can say that Burt Lancaster was a man of many loves, but many failed relationships and marriages marked his tumultuous love life. These failures never affected Burt's emotions, as after all these heartbreaks, he was still the man with a good heart. Or we can say that yes, Burt Lancaster was a true friend to many, and his companionship was treasured by many who knew him. He was also close friends with legendary players such as Mickey Mantle, and was often seen cheering on his favorite teams at games and events. And just when everything seemed to be going smoothly, no one ever imagined that they would lose a true friend so early, as the iconic actor, who left a lasting legacy on the world of film and television, was diagnosed with heart problems, and after going through several surgeries, he passed away on October 20th, 1994, leaving us with a deep sense of loss. And yes, no doubt we still think his death was a big loss to Hollywood, as we don't think there's another actor who can match Burt's class and level of acting. Burt Lancaster has a well-earned reputation, but not all actors were that lucky in Hollywood. Why is Errol Flynn remembered for all the wrong reasons? Let's find out from this video.